Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. So Bruce had a very good idea. I think it's a good idea. You laughing?
Yeah.
I think it's a good
she likes
idea.
to point out whose ideas it was.
It's his idea.
They're all
and
my
I think
ideas.
it's good.
They're all my ideas.
Oh, but this one was good, I think.
Hopefully.
So
yeah.
it's okay. We like music. I think you guys kind of figured that out. This one is
pop songs you may not have known were sampled
pop
by
songs?
other songs.
Specifically pop songs?
Or just songs, period.
Okay, see. Songs you didn't know were sampled.
Yeah, you might like them, but you didn't know they were sampled.
Mm-hmm.
Or already done, basically, and pulled from them.
Yeah, you know how sometimes you hear a song and you're like, wait a minute, I heard that before, and you can't figure it out. More than likely, it was sampled. You heard it, yeah, because it was sampled back.
Maybe a beat.
Yep.
The whole track.
Yep.
A hook.
So this is gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, a riff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's go.
In the last few decades, sampling in pop music has become more and more common. This often means that some of the biggest and most well-known hit songs are actually extensively based on other older songs, songs which you might not be familiar with. So let's today take a look at 11 songs that you might not have known are based on samples. I'm going to play you a snippet of the 1970 song Are You My Woman by the Chi-Lites, and I bet you can guess which 2003 pop
It's the Chi-Lites, man. You better get that straight. What?
I knew that.
It was
knew
of
that?
course
I did
sampled
know
in
that.
Crazy in Love by Beyonce and Jay-Z.
I didn't know that. They changed the key. Dropped it. They weren't
Beyonce
hiding
has
it.
often used sampling in her
I did
music.
not know that.
For example, her 2016 song Hold Up is based on a sample from Andy Williams' 1963 song
I gotta listen to
Can't
that
Get Used to
song.
Losing You.
Hold up, they don't love you like I love you.
Oh, wow.
Slow down, they don't love you like I love you. Back up.
And back when Beyonce was still part of Destiny's Child, her music was already often based on samples. For example, Destiny's Child's 2001 hit Bootylicious
Bootylicious.
samples the chugging eighth note guitar part from Stevie Nicks' 1982 classic Edge of 17.
Ow!
That doesn't sound like it's from Rocky, though.
I don't think you're ready for this. My body's too bootylicious for you, baby. Can you handle this?
Another well-known artist whose music has often been based on samples is Will Smith. Summertime, released back in '91 when Smith
Music
was still
based
the
on
Fresh
samples.
Prince,
Wow.
is based on a sample
that's
of
Kool
Kool
and
and the
Gang.
Gang's 1974 instrumental Summertime Madness.
Oh, of course. Everybody knew that was sampled.
Most songs which sample will just sample one song and use it as the main foundation of the new composition. But some songs get more adventurous than this, more creative, and will sample from
Man, look at that
multiple
place.
songs. For example, Will
a
Smith's
record head.
1997 hit Get Jiggy With It is predominantly based on a sample of Sister Sledge's 1979 classic He's the Greatest Dancer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
However, Get Jiggy With It also introduces another song to the mix, also samples from a second song, the 1970s soul track Sang and Dance by the Bar-Kays.
Ah.
Oh, wow.
Getting jiggy with it.
Oh, that's good.
That's
Good
the whole
job.
song,
Because
though.
this vocal
That is,
hit
that's
from the
good,
Bar-Kays song is a cappella, in other words, just vocals sang on
good.
their own, it makes it quite easy for the vocals to be layered straight on top
Yeah.
of the instrumental
The whole
from The
song
Greatest
is
Dancer. All they had to do was
pulled
match the
from
key and
other
tempo
songs.
of both tracks, and the two can slot together as if they were written to be together.
Yeah.
Many
That's
of you
good.
might already know that the classic disco guitar work that we can hear on Sister Sledge's He's the Greatest
It's
Dancer
like all the songs. Nobody makes up songs anymore.
I know.
Back in the day, they
But I
created
think
songs.
that's what I'm saying. That I think it becomes creative when they're able to hear from all different.
I could see
songs
taking
and put it
songs and
together.
then mashing them together, but when you got one song and then you just rap over it or sing over it, then that's a little bit not as creative. What you think?
Like what?
Like Will's Getting Jiggy
No,
with
that's
it,
the
sampled
creative.
two songs, put somebody heard it, say, hey,
Yeah.
there you go together. Or three,
think
four
that's
songs. Hey,
creative.
that's awesome. But then
Yeah.
if you just pull from one
Song. I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
It's not.
Right. Well, that's all right.
Dancer
do?
is performed by none other than Chic's Nile Rodgers. Nile Rodgers
Nile
and
Rodgers,
Chic
a
bass
bad
player
boy.
Bernard Edwards were effectively the brains behind many of Sister Sledge's greatest hits. But it's not just their work with Sister Sledge that has been sampled. Many of their chic classics have been sampled various times. For example, I wonder if you can identify which 2000s dance track is based on a sample of Chic's 1982 song, Soup for One.
I don't know.
Of course, Soup for One provides the instrumental for Lady by French act Mojo. Our next example is the 1981 song Genius of Love by Talking Heads' side project Tom Tom Club. Can you guess which 90s R&B track
90s.
samples from Genius of Love?
Oh, fuck, Mariah Carey joint.
Well, for this one, there was actually two correct answers. You could have said Mariah Carey's 1995 hit Fantasy, which is based on a sample of Genius of Love.
That was like a Discord.
Yeah.
But you could have also said Return of the Mac
Oh,
by
yeah.
Mark Morrison, which came out the very
I
next
didn't
year.
hear that,
in
though.
1996,
Now you hear
and
it.
once
I
again,
gotta hear it now.
samples Genius of Love.
Yes.
They slowed
Yeah,
it
they slowed it
down
down.
and made it a whole different song.
Wow.
I didn't even recognize it.
Okay, see if you can guess which song samples this one. This is the intro of Barry White's 1977 hit, It's Ecstasy When You Lay Down Next to Me.
Ecstasy, yeah.
This song
Mary
was
J.
used
Blige.
as the foundation of Robbie Williams' 2000 hit
Who's that?
Rock DJ.
With the floor show, kicking with your torso, boys getting high and the
I don't
girls
know
even
that.
more so.
The first minute and a half of the Barry White track is
thought-
instrumental, which meant it could provide the perfect bed over which Robbie and songwriters Guy Chambers and Kelvin Andrews could
don't know who
compose a
that
new
is.
melody, compose a new song. I mentioned earlier how Get Jiggy With It by Will Smith samples two different songs and blends the two samples together. Well, Firestarter by The Prodigy samples not two, but three different
That's what you were
songs.
trying to say.
The most prominent sample we can hear
doing?
is this segment of guitar work
Oh, that-
lifted from the
on?
Breeders'
Right.
1993 track SOS. The second sample provides the drum beat for Firestarter. The drums of Firestarter are sampled from
Get
the
it?
1987 track Devotion by Chicago-based R&B group 10 City. And the third and most subtle sample here is lifted from the 1984 Art of Noise track Close to the Edit. Here, the Prodigy have just sampled a simple vocal clip of the word hey, but they have then
just
repeated that sample of the word hey to create an extra hook in their song.
And they gotta pay for that. They better pay for it.
Hi, Mark Barden at Sandy Hook Promise here. When the gunman shot his way.
So Firestarter is based on three different samples, but that's nothing compared to D-Light's
that's my
1990
song
hit
right there.
Groove is in the Heart,
Groove is in
which is built from at least 10 different
I think that
samples.
song was
The
so funny
main
back
sample
then.
at work here, providing the drum groove and the distinctive slide whistle part,
You're doing the
is a
giddy
sample
up.
from Vernon Birch's 1979 track Get Up.
Who's that?
Get it. That's it. And that's it.
The sample here is lifted from a drum break that happens
Yeah.
in the middle of Get Up, where the music breaks down to just percussion. As I mentioned in my previous video on sampling, drum breaks like this, where we just get drums on their own, are a sampler's dream because there's no extra harmonic
The
or
get
melodic
down.
instruments
That's
happening
called-
at
that
that very
part's called the
moment.
get down.
All we're
Sorry.
getting in this moment is drums, which can be cleanly lifted out of that
Yep.
song and placed into an entirely new context.
That's cool.
And that new harmonic context which they're placed into here is provided by a different sample, the 1966 Herbie Hancock track Bring Down the Birds.
Wow.
The drum breakdown that we hear in the middle of Groove is in the Heart
Man, they
is actually
pulled for
taken
three
from a
songs.
different drum break. That drum break lifted from the intro of Billy Preston's cover of Stevie Wonder's classic track Uptight.
Something lurks in this torso.
Yeah.
What got a deal you wanna know?
And there is yet another little drum groove in here, sampled from
Wow,
another
cool
older
song.
track. This time the sample is from Ray Barrietto's 1970 track Right On.
see the scope of
So
the
that's
music
the
they
main
pulled from, they would
instrumental
have to know
samples that we
about.
get in this track.
Right,
The
right.
remaining samples are largely little tiny moments peppered into the song to add extra little hooks. And some of these extra samples are some serious deep cuts. For example, we get this little tiny sound bite here, which is lifted from a 1969 instructional
So that's
belly
5
dancing
songs.
record.
Instructional belly dancing record.
We're going to dance
Oh,
and
see?
exercise.
We're gonna dance.
We're going to dance. We're going to dance and have some fun.
Remember that.
Wow. Yeah.
And another really subtle but
Part.
effective sample here is this
Hey,
tiny clip of
Q-Tip. I
vocal
didn't realize that
taken
was
from
you.
an obscure 1989 house track called Hateful Head Helen.
On the tip of the anteater.
Why? Like, who says, okay, let's
Some
put
of these
this in
samples
here?
are so short that it almost
Yeah.
seems like too much effort to bother including them.
Right.
Particularly when each sample introduced to the mix adds extra legal hoops to
Yeah.
jump through, with the need to obtain the correct licenses and clearances
And
to
then the
avoid
money.
being sued at a later date for using music that you
Yeah.
don't own the copyright to. In 1990, when Groove is in the Heart was released, the culture with sampling was generally to just use what you wanted to and hope for the best. Although later that same decade, enough lawsuits would happen which would lead record labels to be far more careful
Okay.
with
Yeah.
clearing samples
sense
in the
now.
music they release. And personally, I think it's a shame that it can be so hard to get the proper clearance for samples, because it's those little creative moments of sampling that can really add so much character and fun to a song.
Yeah.
So there you go, there's 11 songs you may not have known are based on samples. If you enjoyed that, then check out the 2 other videos I've already done in this series, which I've linked in the description. And I'm sure I will be doing further installments in this series, so if you can think of any other examples of songs based on samples, then do let me know in the comments down below. Thanks very much.
In general, how do you
Yeah.
feel about sampling?
I think it's, how do I feel about sampling? Well, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything has been sampled.
But
I don't see a problem with it. I see how people would think, but I think that's why people pull from so many different things. It's almost like a synthesis. You bring it all together and create one piece. And then it's kind of your, you know what I'm saying?
And the way you say it makes me feel like you pull it from so many places. You'll obliterate the original.
You're making
and
your-
create
right,
something new
right,
that nobody.
right.
You can say it's yours, but is it? Artists are inspired. All artists are inspired. I don't care
That's
what-
right. That's
From
right.
all,
Right.
even Renaissance paintings, the Renaissance painters, they were inspired
Mm-hmm.
by something.
Right. So like if an artist wants to put the color red on their canvas,
Yeah.
and like, okay, no, I won't do that. But then they start adding yellow on top of the red and blue on top of the red, and then they create their own color. Red is still there.
Because
So
we take
can they
for
say-
granted, you can go to the store and buy a certain color of paint.
That's
Now-
just all the different basic colors of paint that's already been around
Right.
forever and ever and ever.
But back then,
put
they had
together.
to mix
And
and
mix.
experiment
That's
and
it.
do things to create a color that might have inspired them in nature.
That's what I'm saying.
And they
Boom.
use chemicals and all kind of
That's good.
plants. And
So then it
stuff.
becomes, you make it your own. You make
They
it
were
your own.
sampling from nature to create their own thing.
Now, when you
Wow.
just steal something and put your name on it, that's something. Now, I don't think that's cool.
But we stole it from God, though, right?
You all deep in
Did we
Oh my
steal it from
God.
God?
I ain't steal nothing from God.
We
He
should
gave
put-
it to us. He gave it to us.
We gotta put God's name on the back of
Everything
record,
we made?
every painting, every.
So when I feel about sampling, that's it. I just, if you just stealing and sampling are different, but there is a fine line, right? You
Yeah.
can say I sampled it, and your whole song is somebody else's.
I
You
think,
just changed a word or two.
I think sampling is cool.
I do too.
I don't think there's anything wrong with sampling as long as you give credit to the. I don't care
That's a
how
big piece.
small
Yeah.
small the sample was. If it was just a yep,
That's a big piece. Yo,
you gotta
right,
give credit
right,
to
right,
the
right.
person who did that yep, or
Yeah.
to the band or whatever. You got to.
Man, that's just in anything.
That's the only thing.
That's not just in music, but that's just
Yeah.
with anything.
Yeah,
Give credit.
and not be trying to find loopholes to not have
Right.
to do that.
Right. I agree. That was fun.
I heard Beyonce does that.
Samples a lot.
Yeah,
Oh, but she
don't.
doesn't give credit.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a rumor or I don't know.
I don't know because
It's
Beyonce
like she's
didn't
known-
call me yesterday, so we
Right.
didn't have our weekly
It's
conversation.
like she's known for it or something.
But I think she might have the mind that if I'm taking and I'm creating my own, that I don't have to give credit because now I've made it my own.
You think some artists are so big they think by sampling your stuff and I don't have to give you credit.
You're doing them a favor?
Because I'm bringing attention
I
to
don't
you.
know. It could be. I mean, who knows the mind of
Ugh.
But that could be. But like I was saying before, it could just be in their artist's mind. Yes, I may have sampled this, but I have created something so different that it is now mine.
I feel like
It's so mixed up where you can't even
I'm
find
not a professional artist, but I have an artist mind. I like to be creative. Creative isn't something that you can, isn't like a stamp you put on somebody they're creative. And then I think everybody has creative moments. But in those moments when you create something, I still would feel like I should at least mention or something what inspired me.
Well, that's how you feel. Everybody doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't feel that way, so.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, everybody. So that was just a few songs that I was noticing while I was watching. You know how some of the videos pop up on the side? There's so many videos. So there's so many more songs. Obviously, there's so many more songs out there that we didn't know were sampled. Oh, look at the little bunny. 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 That were sampled. So I almost want to do another one.
Yeah.
But that's all. That's all for today.
Subscribe and
like and comment. Oh,
Yeah,
so many
comment.
comments now. I think we've kind of
let us know.
So many.
It don't have to be music. It can be anything.
Anything.
And as always, peace.